book of Thomas, saying 22, Jesus saw infants being suckled. He said to his disciples, these infants being suckled are like those who enter the kingdom. They said to him, shall we then, as children, enter the kingdom? Jesus said to them, when you make the two one, when you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, and the above like the below, and when you make the male and female one and the same, so that the male not be male nor female, and when you fashion eyes in the place of an eye, and a hand in the place of a hand, and a foot in the place of a foot, and a likeness in a place of a likeness, then you will enter the kingdom. Whew, quite a mouthful, that one. Sounds quite complicated, doesn't it? But it seldom is. Just a minute. Right. Let's get a piece of paper ready. Should have done this before, actually. Lack of planning on my part. Right. So, Jesus saw infants being suckled. When your body is like super clean, and your cup overflows, which is the cerebrospinal fluid, there's huge amounts of it. And King David reflected on this. He said, my cup overflows, my tongue cleaves to the roof of my mouth for you. Now, a child suckling is sucking. So this, when you get into the later stages, you'll suck, and the cerebrospinal fluid will drop into the nasal oral cavity, and you can pick it up on the tongue. And this contains trace elements of DMT. So if you're suffering from hunger and things like that, you'll not feel it anymore. And it sustains the body. It also has stem cells in it, which rejuvenates the body. This is the proverbial manna from heaven. Okay, so that's what that is. And remember, they would collect it 6 days of the week, and on the 6th day they would collect a double portion for the 7th day, and the 7th day is the Sabbath, the seven chakras. So you get to 6, so you're collecting it, you're collecting the mana, get it? In other words, you're not expending it, and you're collecting it, and then you're saving it for the 7th day. And the 7th day is the day that God rested. It's not about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's just man-made bollocks. Doesn't a tribe that lives in the deepest Amazon, do they give a fuck about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? No, because it's a meaningless man-made construct, and it's part of the system used to control you. Oh, you're a Jew, you do it on Saturday, and you're a Christian, you do it on Sunday, and you're an Islamist, so you do it on a Friday. It's fucking stop that. Right, so these infants being suckled are like those that who enter the kingdom. So this is a progression. Okay, so people will be going that way, and you'll see evidence of this. People start talking about it on YouTube and on various other websites. Okay, and they'll be describing their experiences. They said to him, shall we then, as children, enter the kingdom? Right. Jesus said, be like a child. Meditation, getting rid of the mind. Your memory isn't there. It's just an empty blank canvas, just like a child. When you make the two one. So this is Adam and Eve, the subconscious and the intellect becoming one. This is also higher consciousness and lower consciousness being lifted up. The wolf and the lamb lying together, they become one. And when you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, the above like the below, and when you make the male and female one and the same, so that the male not be male nor female. I'm going to draw this now. Just move my chair. Now, for the purposes of symbolism, okay? So, that's male, female. So it's androgynous now. It's neither male nor female. That's male. That's female. But now it's both. So we are looking at equity. Balance. So everything balances out. Like the wolf and the lamb. But the wolf is the, symbolically speaking, is the Apostle Paul, the lowly and little ego. And the lamb is higher consciousness. But the wolf will lie with the lamb. But the wolf's evil. Evil serves a purpose, so does good. If there was no evil, how would you know good? So now you recognise that evil in the world is there to serve a purpose. It's to facilitate choice. Do you want to partake in evil, or do you want to partake in good? And then you recognise your own capacity for evil. And when you do that, the spirit will take any shame and guilt off you, and then you have an internal equity. That's, you've been judged and you have been found not guilty, because the story doesn't exist. It can't be found guilty. Yeah, but the 10 Commandments, people don't understand them. Okay? It's not what it is. That's low consciousness. This is why Jesus used to bollock the disciples. Stop thinking like a man. Get it? It's spirit. Higher consciousness. So, when people say things to me like, oh, you're a soldier, you're a killer, and yeah, and King David killed loads of people. King David was a full-on arsehole on many occasions. Yeah, to the point where he even blew God off and said no, and went and did his own thing. He exercised his gift as free will, but he came back like the prodigal son. And King David, his name in Hebrew was Dode, or Dowd, and it means beloved. God loved him. So all you sanctimonious pricks out there saying, oh, you're so angry. Oh, fuck off, jump in the sea. Incidentally, even Jesus said, I am the root of David. Same character, same thing. Okay? Right. And when you fashion eyes in the place of an eye, so you have the inner eye. When the inner eye is working with these two eyes, and a hand in place of a hand, and a foot in the place of a foot, and a likeness in place of a likeness, then you will enter the kingdom. And that's when you start to merge with the unified field. And I've had that experience a few times now. And it's kind of freaky. Not in a scared way, it's just weird because your body is still manifest. It's not like you're being teleported or anything. It's like you're... Right. It's a torchlight. But it's a key. It's shaped like a key. So we look at it, we identify the object as the object. It looks like a key, it is a key. But really, it's the shape around it that defines the object. So the shape around it is what gives the object its form. And that shape, that space around it is the unified field. It's literally everywhere. It's the air you breathe, prana, the breath, Yahweh. All right? The name of the biblical God is Yahweh, Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. Right, it's based on the word higher, which means I am. Right, so, or ahaya, actually. And so you have a hand. I recognise my hand, but I also recognise that the space around it is what materialises my hand. And you see, you are half in the field and half out of the field. And this is something that you will experience as your journey progresses. Okay, and then obviously there'll be a point where you'll stop winking at God, because God, as I've mentioned in the previous saying, comes with his sickle and puts the grain in the barn. In other words, you get set apart completely, which is the because you can experience the rapture in meditation, and then you come back That's what I think one of the prophets got pissed off. He said, so he'd be away and then he'd come back and he'd be like, oh, fucking hell, I've got to deal with you idiots again. I'm just free rolling, don't take it personally. But eventually their consciousness remains up there permanently. Okay, so then they become God in the flesh. And that's what happened to Enoch. Enoch walked with God. And then Enoch was not, because God took him. In other words, God came into this fleshy tabernacle. And that's why they said to Jesus, they called him Emmanuel, which means God is with us, God in the flesh. And Jesus is your higher consciousness. And it comes into you. And then it is you. Because ultimately, it is you. No mystery. So that is actually the rapture. People get so hung up about that. It's sucked up into the sky. Right. It was sucked up into the skies, up into higher consciousness. It's like when Jacob climbed the mountain. He got to the top of the mountain, fucking wrestled with God, slugging it out, having a fight, and God eventually dislocates his hip. He's on top of a mountain. Just think about it's word pictures. Use your imagination. I'm magic in. So you use your imagination, and you've got this guy, Jacob. He's climbed a mountain. He's had a punch up with God, and God's dislocated his hip. Now, the top of the mountain is the place to be. And he's dislocated his hip. How is he going to get off? How is he going to get down from the top of the mountain with a dislocated hip? That's the entire point. You don't want to get down. You stay up there. Okay? And the hip as well is symbolic of, the lower regions of the body, the generative regions. So that gets disengaged. Okay, no more energy goes down there. It's all up here in the top of the mountain. Get it? That's why the yogis, they practice, not all of them, but some of them practice something called brahmacharya, which is a devotion to higher realms. This is why Catholics practice being celibate. Instead, they become paedophiles, disgusting bastards. Right. So anyway, I hope that makes sense to you.